Okay, we're gonna break down the one hand snatch today, and particularly we're gonna go over how it was done in the old times, specifically the Bronze Era, which was around 1900s, 1930s, that early era of barbell training. Now the video you just saw was the world record holder Charles Rigoleau, who performed the heaviest one hand snatch of all time. It still hasn't been broken. That clip was from 1924. And what you'll notice on his technique is as he's pulling the bar up to move overhead, he rotates and laterally moves under the bar. This is much different than a traditional two-arm snatch where our goal is to stay vertical and drop under the bar in that vertical plane with no lateral movement. So what our main objective here today is to understand that rotation and how to move ourselves laterally under the bar as they did in the old days. And the first step to understand this is going to be by using an overhead squat technique. And with this overhead squat, our goal is to rotate the torso as we dip down and sink into the hips. This will teach us the demands of rotation that's placed upon the body as we get overhead. Notice here is my feet are slightly turned away from the bar. This is going to help rotation as well. As I squat down, watch my torso rotate towards the bar. So that would be a very smart first step to learning the position. And obviously building some strength there before we start throwing weight overhead. Our next thing is just going to be understanding how to catch weight and be in that rotated position. Now it's going to be quite difficult and it's going to require a lot more skill to start facing forward as Charles Rigoleau did there, and then to jump and spin around the bar. So what we're actually going to do is just start in rotation and use a suitcase. It's called a suitcase position. So this is your traditional suitcase deadlift position, and we're actually going to snatch from this position. You may want to use a dowel first to get the momentum, but basically we're coming straight up the body. We're going to have some slight lateral flexion, some side bend, pulling and catching as we did in that one arm overhead squat. So it looks like this. If you wanted to just use that technique for a while and build up a lot of strength there, that's perfectly fine, because the nice thing about it is it just puts you right into that rotated position that was so commonly used in old times. This will also carry over to other old time lifting techniques like bent press, side pressing, and other lateral type strength movements. Now, if we are going to move to the forward facing action, there's actually two ways you can do this. One, we could do it like Charles did, where as we're pulling, we actually jump and turn in midair. The other one, which was commonly used as well, is when we catch, we actually rotate and laterally side bend and get under the bar this way. So what we're doing, you can see we're creating space to move under the bar. So I'll show you that one first. You can decide what you like. But basically what it is it's going to be a lateral movement. So it's almost like a side bend to start, and then you're going to side bend and pull, and then catch under the bar. So it looks like this. You can see my grip is slightly off-centered. So I'm not right in the center. I'm slightly off because I will be catching more in line with my shoulder, especially if I use this technique. So I'm actually going to close the lifting side. So I want to feel my obliques and everything contract here. I can use hand and thigh to support and create more strength. And as I pull, you'll see me get under the bar laterally. This is something you can practice from the floor, but you can also practice it in a hanging position, just like we do with Olympic lifts. So if I come up to hang, I can practice the dip and the lateral pull, so I can shrug and lift and dip under the bar. And now the final part would be, after trying all these things, seeing if you want to do the rigolo position, where as we pull to drive under the bar, we actually rotate to catch the bar. Of course, start with a dowel and lighter weights to just really mimic the pattern first. The key here is to be fast and also actually move into a really aggressive triple extension. So it looks a little more like this. Now, this will take a lot of confidence to really drop under the bar, and we're obviously going to need more weight to do that. So spend time building up the strength in those lower positions with things like the overhead squat, and then you'll work your way up from there. So that's an overview of the old-time technique that was most commonly used for one-hand snatching.